ఇన్నేళ్ళ తర్వాత వస్తాను చూడు. ఏడుకొండలవాడ వెంకటరమణ గోవింద గోవింద గట్టిగా చెప్పండి. ఎవరు చెప్పట్లేదు. లోపలికి వచ్చేటప్పుడు ఎంటర్ అయ్యేటప్పుడు దేవుడు మాత్రం ఇక్కడ చెప్పాను కదా వదిన 100 పైన కార్స్ పార్కింగ్ చేయొచ్చు. అంత
అందరికి అసలు నవ్వండి శైలు, అందరికి అసలు నవ్వుతూ మాట్లాడండి. ఇక్కడ పట్టుకో అది చెప్పాను.
ఏంటి భలే ఉంది. నేను లస్సీ అనుకుంటా.
వీడియో ఇప్పుడే మంచిగా టెంపుల్కి వచ్చి హ్యాపీగా తినేసి శుభ్రంగా తిని బాగా వెళ్తున్నాం. వీళ్ళు చూడు మ్యాంగో లస్సీ టిఫిన్ కూడా తిన్నారు. వీళ్ళు ఇంకా లచ్చి చేయరంటే ఈరోజు నో చికెన్ బిర్యానీ నో నథింగ్ అని చెప్పారు. ఇప్పుడే
వాడు తీసాడు దాని తర్వాత
అలా అంటున్నా.
తీద్దాం ఇప్పుడు కూడా తీయచ్చు కదా, ఏమయ్యేది ఉంది. ఇది ట్రంప్ టవర్, ఇది వెనకాల మన వెనకాల ఉంది ట్రంప్ టవర్. నైట్ అంతా నీకు అక్కడ కూడా అంతే కదా.
అక్కడ 2 ఉన్నాయి
అక్కడంటే
Oh, we'll cut this. Also not just saying that because my bosses are right over there. In fact, the first time I visited this city 14 years ago, took a boat tour like this one, fell in love with Chicago, knew I was going to call it home one day. And don't worry, that's also a very high bar. Don't expect any of you guys to sign a lease by the end of my tour. Pressure's off. All I'm going to do is bottle some of the passion I've always felt towards Chicago, pass it on to you guys, let you know why I and nearly 3 million other people call this place home. We're going to break that question down into 3 categories: our architecture, our history, and our culture. You're going to learn so much about all 3 that by the end of this tour, no one should know the difference between you and a local. For the next 45 minutes, you guys are all Chicagoans in training. Means you got a lot of squeeze into under an hour. So here's what's going to happen. You got to give it an extra minute, make sure everyone who got a ticket is on board before leaving behind. Then we pull that ramp and play the most riveting safety speech you've ever heard in your life. But since you already know who I am and what the tour is, we can get straight into your tour information on the other side without missing another one. Once again, welcome aboard. Riveting stuff, right? All right, let's stop wasting time getting into your tour. We'll start with this building directly in front of us. It's a white building with a clock tower on it that's currently hidden from view. This is the Wrigley Building. It is built with revivalist style architecture, a very popular style from the 1880s to the early 1920s. Historically, this is just following the Great Chicago Fire. Our city has just been destroyed. 100,000 white terracotta tiles of 6 different shades. Each one's got to be washed by hand. So you can imagine the task is wash the entirety of the building. And although Spanish revivalism is very beautiful, French cathedral had a baby with an office building. This is the French Gothic revivalist style of the Tribune Tower. Dead giveaway of that style is the flying buttresses at the top, the archways with the gap. And I love a big buttress, I cannot lie. But as beautiful as both of these buildings are, they're Europe's beautiful buildings. They don't have much to do with Chicago aside from the fact that we're pasting near. If you fast forward to modern day, we do the exact opposite now architecturally. We're more about sites. The other thing that allows us to grow in the way that we have is the waterways we'll be exploring today. We've got 20% of the world's liquid freshwater in the Great Lakes system behind us. Very convenient connection to the Midwest, East Coast, even Canada. Maybe a little too convenient. which I think the alcohol came from during Prohibition. Sorry, report. Canada. And to the south, the Chicago River eventually connects to the Mississippi and then Gulf of Mexico. So this was a very convenient spot to meet up a new trade back in the day. That's how we got our start. A glass building with different white wavelengths of balconies. Aqua Tower. That is called contextualism. If you stand at the base of that building and look up, all those balconies look like ripples or waves across the Chicago River or Lake Michigan right next door. So once again, it's paying tribute to its context. You can't copy and paste it like revivalism anymore. It only pays tribute to what's around it. And back when it was built in 2009, Aqua was actually the tallest structure in the world by a woman architect. Her name is Jeannie Gang, Studio Gang. She won the world's most influential architect award in 2019. Now, unfortunately, Aqua doesn't hold the record anymore. But it's for a great reason. And that's because Jeannie Gang destroyed her own record a block away with the St. Regis. This wavy glass building going up in 3 parts, our 3rd tallest building in the city, and tallest structure in the world by a woman architect to this day. Now that building is so tall, right out the lake, it's got to factor in our lake effect wind. This is called the issue of sway. Since we get a lot of it, our taller buildings are literally built to sway 84th floors. If you look up there, you can tell there aren't any floors. We took them out. Those are what's called the blow-through floors. That's a spot designed to have the wind blow through the building, which breaks up and decreases the overall acceleration of the wind on the building. It's a wind diffuser. It's a very significant way to cut back your sway. You just don't see it. Lakeshore Drive and condos for the rich and famous when they live here. We've had residents like Tom Cruise, Halle Berry, Kurt Russell, Goldie Hawn, Alice Cooper, Sammy Sosa, Scottie Pippen, Vince Vaughn, and not Oprah. You hear that one a lot. It's a very popular rumor that she lived in Lake Point Tower, but I'm sorry to report not true. She lived in the Ritz-Carlton across the street from the Hancock Building. In front of us is DuSable Lakeshore Drive. If a movie filmed in Chicago, it usually filmed on this street. Risky Business, The Blues Brothers, My Best Friend's Wedding, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, The Dark Knight. Again, if it filmed here, probably filmed on this street. And on the opposite side of it, coming into view, is Navy Pier. Opened 1993, called the World Columbian Exposition. World's Fair before that one, 1889, Paris, France. They unveiled the Eiffel Tower. So, a lot of pressure on Chicago to come up with something bigger and better than the Eiffel Tower. Giant rickety spinning wheels is what we came up with. The original was 68 feet taller than this one. The cars of this can fit 8 to 10. The original could fit over 60 people in each car, which I think checks out. You have to do that. First can of spray paint, the first Cracker Jack, the first zipper, the first public display of the incandescent light bulb, that's a big one, and America's first serial killer. So, bit of a mixed bag, but undeniably influential in a lot of ways.
మంచి ఫోటో తీసుకోవచ్చు అలా.
All right, guys, we'll get back to it. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about that World's Fair in 1893. Very important in Chicago, because prior to that World's Fair, most people around the world just knew Chicago as the city that burnt down. So we needed a World's Fair to change the act. The original shoreline used to go all the way up to Michigan Avenue, where we start and end the tour. That's why it's called that. The waves of the lake used to come up onto the street. So if you're doing the mental math, you might be wondering, where'd all this land come from? After the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, we had all this debris and rubble we had no clue what to do with. So we collected it. And the mayor of Chicago showed up at his funeral just to make sure he was actually dead. They say crime doesn't pay, but we named the whole neighborhood after that guy, so not quite sure about that. And if that's not enough, in the heart of that neighborhood, there is still a statue to memorialize the Tribune Tower. This was also the end result of a competition to see who could create the most beautiful office building in the world. We got over 260 entries from 23 countries, and that won. To pay tribute, around the base are stones from iconic locations all around the world. We have bricks from the pyramids of Giza, the Great Wall of China, the Taj Mahal, the Parthenon, the Alamo, the Berlin Wall. We even had a fragment of the moon for a while, but people kept trying to steal it. So now we're back to NASA. but the rest of the stones and plenty of others I didn't mention are still there. Which means after the tour, you cross the street, take a walk around the outside of that building, you can take a mini free trip around the world. Cool free thing to do. On to valet park those. So if you ever feel like your job is stressful, just remember that. Probably be worse. Left-hand side, we got a small concrete building with 5-5 at the top. 5-5 West Wacker. We call it the Danny DeVito building because it's short, stubby, and between two supermodels. It is a brutalist building, which doesn't have to do with this brutal, boxy appearance like you might think. It's actually the material it's made of. Brutalism comes from the French term béton brut, which means raw copper. Columns we just saw are also brutalism. The two very different designs, but they're classified the same way. A little to the left-hand side, a little lower, is our Riverwalk. Fairly new addition in Chicago. Phase 3 finished in 2016. Cost $112 million. That is supposed to grab a bite to eat or drink like the Tiny Tap. Affected that amount, and nowadays it washes out for about 3 to 5 days. The river's a little greener for about a week or two, but it's in the hands of the plumbers union. They know what they're doing, so don't worry, it's in good hands. Following the bridge on the right, it's a cool style of architecture that came after revivalism in the mid-1920s. Merchandise mart here, a great example of Art Deco style art.
పద కింద వరకు వెళ్ళవా పద పద
నాకు కూడా నువ్వేం చెప్తావు నువ్వేం కాదు నీది ఒకటి చెప్పు నీదేంటా అన్న నీదేమో
చికెన్ ఫ్రైడ్ రైస్ కాంపౌండ్ చికెన్
చెప్పేసాను
మళ్ళీ ఇంకోట
అదే కాంపో చికెన్ సరి